Holly, I guess, I mean, this is a guy who spent we've talked with him for almost an hour and we haven't mentioned Rush at all. So, I mean, this is a guy who worked on Beyond the Lighted Stage. And do you
Not
have
just,
it?
oh
Go
yeah,
ahead.
of
I'll give you,
course.
take the stage. Holly likes Rush.
Rush is huge in our house. Rush, I've seen Rush because of my husband more than any other band I've ever seen. Um, but Rush, obviously, in your mind, warranted a trilogy. You did three, but you've written three books. You haven't done three books on any other art. I mean, I know the metal, the compilations, but Rush warranted a trilogy in your eyes.
And I did three books before the trilogy on Rush. So I did the official Rush biography in '03 as one of my favorite, or one of my earliest books. But it was a thin book. It was only, what was it, 60,000 words with a lot of pictures, soft cover. Then we did an album by album with Quarto, with these guys, and we did an illustrated history. So I did those. And then we did the movie, and I thought there's no way I could ever do another Rush book. But the reason it happened was that I just got this idea that working on the movie, we had so much stuff that was not used. And I just went to Scott and Sam and said, look, if I flipped you $1,000, can I use the stuff we didn't use? I mean, we have, because I transcribed a lot of that as well. I had tons and tons and tons of great Rush, transcribed interviews. As they say in the movie business, you interview for an hour and use a minute of each hour, right? You use a minute per hour of interview footage kind of thing. I don't know if it was that extreme, but we had so much. And so I went to them and they were, yeah, fine, sure. Yeah. And then I went to the Rush office and said, hey, if we do this, Sam and Scott said this, blah, blah, do I have your blessing? Do I have the guy's blessing to do this? And Peggy's, yeah, sure. No problem. I even offered them some money and said, don't worry about it. So because I think they feel it was more of a Scott and Sam project, which it was, at Banger Films. So essentially I started working on it and putting it all together. Oh, I love doing this, moving everything around and putting the stuff in the right albums and chapters and all that. And, ECW, the other reason it worked is because that publisher was the same publisher I did the official one for. And they were also the publisher who was doing almost all of Neil Peart's books, right? So Jack at ECW had a relationship with Peggy at the office too. And I was going to be using some of the original stuff as well from my original book. And plus I never used any press in the original book. So I was going to use press as well. So it's going to be everything but the kitchen sink put into this, my opinions, reviewing things, listening things on headphones left and right. So I started writing it, and the original plan was, we're going to do the greatest Rush book, which is a big, awesome Rush book. And then I laid it all out, everything we had, and it was like 360,000 words, right? So it was like, okay, well, this is cool. I'll cut it off here. We'll do a trilogy because I love doing that stuff. I've done a whole bunch of things where I've done 2 or 3 together, right, to make up the whole story. So yeah, that's how it worked out. It was great. Came out in hardcover first, a whole hardcover design, and then the whole thing came out in softcover.
And how big of a fan are you?
Pretty big fan. Yeah, really, really big fan. I wouldn't say they're even in my top 5 favorite bands of all time, but maybe my top 15. But yeah, big fan. Been aboard with them since the debut album at 74. So I would have been 11. So followed every single album all along the way. So yeah, huge Rush fan.
Did you get a chance to sit down one-on-one with Neil Peart, or is it?
Yep.
You did. Yep. Okay. And how was he straightforward with you, elusive, or, did you get to know, do you feel like you got to know him in interviews?
No, I felt like what I needed to do, because this is how I've always felt about all the books I write. I did not want to waste any time on anything other than tell me about this song, tell me about this song, tell me about this song. Like we went through the albums kind of thing. That was the most important thing to get out of them. And fortunately, Sam and Scott got a lot of great stuff with Neil. Throughout the making of the movie. Like, he was just very open and talked a lot about everything. So we did have all that great footage already from the movie. And like I say, I mean, the movie is only 88 minutes long. So, there's only so much that went in there. So yeah, it is everything but the kitchen sink. I remember Peggy's so funny at the office. She's so straightforward and abrupt, right? It's like, yeah, you can do this on one condition: no more interviews. So it's like, I don't need any more, Peggy. This is perfect. We got a lot of stuff here. But basically, that, you know, they were in kind of retirement mode, well, I'm not sure the timing exactly with Neil's illness, but essentially, you know, it was like, don't ask the guys for any more interviews. Don't ask me to go ask the guys for any more interviews. Like, no more interviews, but go ahead and do it. So yeah, they loved it. They were happy with the whole thing. Yeah.
Okay. And over the years, you've interviewed Getty and Alex
Yep.
more than yeah.
Yep. Yeah, they were always great. They were always really good interviews. You know, Alex usually was in person most times. You know, just go down to the office when the new album comes out and sit down with them and go through stuff. Yeah, the office was really neat. He was always in this house in a bad part of town in Toronto. I think they've closed it up now, and it's all more or less in retirement mode, and everybody's moved on. But yeah, there were original artworks in there, like the Power Windows artwork, and Hold Your Fire, and that's where they had all the gold records and everything, and Ray and all that. So it's great office, and it's, you know, they also managed Van Halen at one point, King's X at one point, Extreme, Tea Party, Max Webster. You know, I'm always kind of cheeky about, everybody says, like, what's your favorite Canadian band? It's actually not Rush. It's probably Max Webster. I love Max Webster. I mean, way more. And I think the idea is that's one of those catalogs, like the Police, for example, where, you know, it's a short catalog of 5 or 6 albums. They're all great. They didn't get a chance to screw up in the 80s and do crappy things. So it's just this perfect sacrosanct catalog, and that's why I always pick them.
That's a great way to look at it. Yeah. I feel like that Rush, the way you describe it, it should have been a museum, or, you know, just a gallery with everything you're describing.
You know, there'd be Rush conventions and stuff in town, and usually what happens is, you know, the office would let them have a little tour of the office and stuff, and so they would go down and do that.
Well, Dylan's got his museum in Tulsa. Maybe there'll be one in Rush Museum in Toronto one day.